This is Earth School Radio, exploring the lessons of being human, one conscious conversation at a time. Do you ever notice how you can understand your patterns perfectly and still keep repeating them over and over again? Well, that's not a willpower problem. It's a nervous system problem, and you're not broken. You're just running an old code, like an old program. And today we're talking about how to change that. So go do whatever you need to do and get back here so we can get into it. All right? See you there. Welcome back to Earth School Radio. I'm your host, Sheila Say, and here we are, back in the classroom. It's been a week, I'm not going to lie. It has been kind of a weird, crazy week. I broke my tooth. I dropped my husband off at not the hospital. I dropped my husband off at the airport the other day. On the way back, there was some Taco Bell involved, and yeah, so I had to have some work done, so I've been kind of resting and getting myself back together, and now I can eat and talk, and, honestly, I'm thriving now. So anyway, I am wearing my Fleetwood Mac shirt today because I woke up to a group message in our family chat. I guess for context, I have two adult kids, I have 4 adult children and 2 still with me, 2 teenage girls still with me. And we travel around Florida in our RV. And one of the ways that I stay connected with my older kids back home is we have this group chat where we just talk about random stuff. And this morning, my son Nick sends me a screenshot of his playlist called Songs Every White Person Likes, and I just thought that was so funny. And so now my husband is a black man, and I've been married for over 30 years, so nobody clutch your pearls. It's playful. But anyway, as the only white person in my household, I felt like it was my civic duty to contribute. I came in hot with some Kool in the Gang and some Bon Jovi and some Steve Miller Band and Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond, but the clinch pin was, or the whatever it's called, was my Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. That's, peak. So anyway, hence the shirt. If you have suggestions for songs every white person loves, please drop them in the comments. I'm here for it. So, all right, so let's dive in. We're talking about why is change so freaking hard? Even when you think, I definitely need to do this. This is such a good idea, whatever, and you just end up stuck. And I want to start with a quote that really just freaking hit me right in the chest when I heard it. It was, "How long are you going to avoid doing what you're capable of just to stay comfortable doing what you've always done?" And, excuse me, apologize. Anyway, that's from this guy named Simon Alexander Ong. He is a entrepreneurial life coach, I guess, and has social media. Anyway, I heard it on a podcast, and something inside of me snapped into focus. And if I'm being honest, most of us aren't stuck because we don't know what to do. We're stuck because doing something new feels unsafe in our body. Even when we know that the next step is right, even when your soul is begging you for it. There's a part of you deep in your body that says, we're not moving. We're staying right here. This is safe right here. I don't care. I'm staying here. And what I want you to understand is our brains are incredible, but they evolved for survival, not for fulfillment. Thousands of years ago, trying something new could have gotten you killed. So, you go down a new trail, a strange sound, or there's a different tribe, you avoid that shit so that you don't get killed. And the brain learned from that point that simple rule that familiar equals safe and unfamiliar equals dangerous. And then you fast forward to today, and you're not dodging predators, but you're trying to start a business, or you're trying to leave a shitty relationship, or you're trying to speak your truth and step out for once in your life. But your nervous system doesn't know that. It's still scanning for wild animals that are going to eat you alive. And the body remembers. So through repetition, even those painful, annoying patterns start to feel safe if they're familiar. That's why change doesn't feel uncomfortable. It feels threatening. And when you start imagining your new life, or making that new choice, or doing something that's just completely outside of your comfort zone, that protective system inside of you flares up. It's like, we've never done this before. Let's stay where we know where the rules are, even if them rules suck. I don't know why my inside voice sounds like that. But anyway, you just, not because it's the right thing to do, you're staying there. You're not like, oh, I just love it here. It's because it's what's known, and it's because that's where your body feels comfortable. And once you get that, once you understand that, you can stop freaking blaming yourself and doing all the self-hate because you're not doing what you need to be doing. These things are falling off. You're not lazy, you're not broken, you're just built to survive. And now in this time, it is not time to survive. We're done with the survival thing. We're here to evolve. We're here to grow. And that's what I want to talk about. And if you know me, in the last 5 years of my life, you know that the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza has truly just changed my life. It's one of the most powerful things that I've done is listen to his podcasts and just read his books and anything that he does. The first thing I want to tell you is there's this teaching that he teaches that by around the age of 35, 95% of who we are is made up of memorized habits, thoughts, and reactions and behaviors. And that means that what we think and feel and do is running on autopilot most of the time. Your body's just memorized these emotional states. Know anybody like that? Constantly stressed or worried or overwhelmed. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's, depending on the time of the month or when it is, maybe it is. And once you learn that, that's how you're operating, and your body's recreating those emotions, even when nothing's wrong, because that body wants everything to be familiar. Familiar equals safe. So unless we're consciously paying attention, the loop just continues over and over again. You have the same thoughts, you have the same feelings, the same behaviors, and you get the same results. Your mind might be dreaming about that better future, that new job, that new, relationship, but your body is still living in the past, and it's like, no, I don't want to go out there. That's dangerous out there. And that's why change feels so hard. It's not just emotionally, it is biological. It is in your body. So how do we work with the body instead of fighting it? Well, real change starts by interrupting the pattern before it takes over. And it always begins the same way. You notice it. Step one is you notice it. You notice the moment that you usually just check out. That familiar pit in your stomach, the thought that shows up right before you self-sabotage. It's the noticing, and that's not failure. When you notice it, that's not a failure. That's the doorway. That's the start of changing the behavior. You have to notice it. The next step is name it. Not judging, not fixing, just name it. This is fear taking over. I'm noticing that I'm doing the same thing I always do. Oh, this is my don't rock the boat pattern. This is what I always do. I just people please, and I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to, oh, you call me up at the last minute and yeah, sure, I'll watch your kids. And even though I was really tired and I was wanting to go hiking this weekend and whatever. I mean, these are the things we do. But when you notice that you're doing them, that is the moment that you change. Okay? You notice it, and the next thing that you do, you name it. And then when you do that and you go, okay, this is fear, this is resentment. The next step is you do it, you take a new action. So N. It's you notice it, you name it, and take a new action. That is what disrupts the pattern. And it doesn't have to be something huge. It doesn't have to be, some monumental moment. You just speak up instead of shrinking. Okay? You say no. You say no. Sometimes it's okay to say no, without over explaining. Ask for help, for God's sake. If you never ask for help and you bear the brunt and then you walk around pissed off and resentful at everybody, ask for help. That's the something different that you need to start doing to make your life different. Change your appearance. I mean, do something. Show up somewhere that you normally wouldn't. Listen to different music. They sound simple, but they're revolutionary when your nervous system is wired for self-abandonment. That's what we do to ourselves. So I thought, before we move on, and let me just say this, if you can hear background airplanes and whatever noise that that you may be hearing, I am going cross country in an RV and I have a setup that is pretty quiet, but you may hear some noise and I've done my best, but just know that it's the life I'm living. So anyway, I wanted to take a minute to actually feel into this together. And if you want a longer version, you can come back anytime. I'm also going to release a separate guided pattern interruption practice that you can find right next to this episode. So if you're driving right now, just listen. Please. If you're somewhere safe, I want you to just kind of relax and let your shoulders soften. I want you to take a slow breath in and then just let it out. And I want you to bring to mind something that you want to change. Not the biggest thing, just something that keeps looping. And I want you to notice what happens in your body when you bring that thing to mind. Do you feel tightness, heaviness, like a pulling back? That sensation is not intuition, it's conditioning. Now, what I want you to do is gently name it. This is fear. If I speak my truth. This is my old pattern of people pleasing. This is self-deprecation. I don't know, just name it. And then I want you to ask yourself, what is one tiny thing that I could do differently here? Not the whole leap. Just think about just a little toe in the water. What could you do? Make the call, send the text, take the class. Let yourself imagine doing it. And I want you to take one more breath. And then let it out. That's how patterns loosen. And that's how timelines begin. And the next thing that we're going to move into is how I actually changed my life with this exact practice, with these 3 steps: noticing and naming and new action. I went to a yoga class. And it was awkward and I never went back, but it led me to another yoga class and new people and eventually a yoga retreat where I climbed a mountain and jumped off into an ice cold waterfall and got close to the earth and danced around a fire with 30 other beautiful souls and discovered so many things about myself. I learned in that place that I don't always have to wear a mask, that I can just be me and that beautiful soul that I am. It was life changing, and that all came from me taking a risk to go to one yoga class. And other than that, I started driving my daughters to school different routes every day. I'd drive a different way to go to the grocery store or wherever it was I was going. I'd drive a different way. It drove my husband crazy. Um, but it was anything to get out of this autopilot. I dyed my hair purple, dude. I dyed my hair purple. It was kind of cool looking. I liked it, but it was so something I would never have done. I chased discomfort, and I kind of still do. Not to the degree that I did then, because I was trying to really just bust out of the anxious, overwhelmed, stressed out bitch that I was. And it worked, it worked. So, it wasn't, I didn't try to do all these things because I'm trying to suffer and be a martyr, but I did it to teach my body that the unfamiliar was not dangerous. That anxiety, I needed to do it enough times that anxiety didn't keep jumping on my back every time there was a chance or an opportunity or something like that. And none of them were huge on their own. But each one of those things that I did, that I took put my toe in the water, that's how you shift your identity. And then right after I was going through this, time in my life where I was just taking so much, it's spiritual awakening 101, taking in so much information. I felt like I was just like constantly like Neo in the Matrix, where he's just learning taekwondo and kung fu, and he's learning the histories of all the planets, and just I felt like that. I felt like I was going through something like that. But then I saw this movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once, and my kids kept telling me, "Mom, you got to look at this movie," and I knew it won an Academy Award, and so I was like, "Yeah, okay." So I sat down and I started watching it, and it is chaotic, and it is weird, and it's hard to follow, and it's a lot. But it shook me to my core, because in the movie, the main character's name is Evelyn, and she finds out that she can access a different version of herself by doing something completely out of character. And call it versing, the multiverse. So there's infinite, versions of yourself. And it's just true. So I was going through this whole thing where I was learning all of these things. And then this movie comes out that I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm going through for the most part. I was actively like, I'm switching timelines. I'm moving myself into a higher timeline by, keeping my vibration up and changing my patterns. And I was super into it. And that's exactly what the movie was about. So she would just do stupid, absurd, improbable, uncomfortable, weird shit in the movie in order to switch into another version of herself. They called it creating a statistical anomaly. And I remember thinking, this is not science fiction. They are literally telling us what's going on, that we write our own story every day. Your identity is just a collection of probabilities. The things you usually do, the choices your nervous system expects. And when you keep choosing the familiar, you keep landing in the same place, in the same timeline, the same boring timeline. I was like, man, I want to change my timeline. I'm going to dye my hair purple today. And I just did whatever. It was fun. And people were like, what the hell is wrong with you? And I'm like, I'm just being me. I'm trying to be authentic. And it was fun. And I finally let my anxiety go. And I just decided to just change who I was. The moment you do something different, even something small, you insert a kink in the armor. And when I dyed my hair purple, and when I took a different route, and when I walked into the spaces that old me would have avoided, I wasn't being reckless. I wasn't losing my shit. I was teaching my nervous system that we can do something new and survive. And I did it enough times that I stopped being afraid to do it. That's how it works. It's not that difficult. There's this line in one of my favorite Jason Mraz songs that says, leap and the net will appear. And I've always loved it. Thought I'd probably get a tattoo of it. I still might, but haven't yet. But it hits it right on the head. That net isn't external, it's internal. It's in your body. And your body is learning, oh, I can do this. Oh, the unknown didn't destroy me. And listen, every time you make a change or do something, you may not get the result that I'm telling you, oh, you're going to feel so great. After that first yoga class, I was like, I was not happy. I didn't think it went great, to be honest. And, I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to do this again. But I had an invitation to join my daughter's class, and it was further to drive, but I made the drive, and it was the best thing I could have done. And I just want to say that, you're not just breaking habits, you're becoming somebody new. And real change is not forcing yourself, it's teaching your body that it's safe to evolve. One noticing, one naming, and one new action until the new becomes familiar, until you chase that discomfort, you know? And that's it for today's transmission. If this episode stirred something, share it with somebody who might be standing on the edge of change themselves. And if you want to practice this, not just understand it, go check out the guided pattern interruption exercise. I'd love it if you subscribe to the podcast and let me know what you think. Just drop me a comment. And remember, you're not broken and you're not behind. You're just learning how to jump timelines, baby. Until next time, stay open, stay grounded, and keep your dial tuned to love. This is Earth School Radio.